Hello, my family. All right, I had found a recipe by a person whose title's name is Keto Certs. I found them on YouTube, and we're going to try their blueberry recipe out, the muffins. So I'm going to go based by, it has been said to go based basically by grams. So I'm going to give you both options, grams and cups. Also, this supposedly makes 6 muffins. The net carbs per muffin is 4.8. There's fiber of 3.5 grams and no sugar added. We are using sugar substitute. I have never done this recipe before, so this will be my first time. So, and it's kind of interesting because this is the one and only product or baked good that I've seen so far that doesn't use xanthan gum. So we're going to see how this turns out. So you can use a hand mixer if you want. I'm actually going to use my KitchenAid to mix this up. And it starts out with well, it'll be 3 actually, liquids. We're going to start with 2/3 cup of soft cream cheese and 2 large eggs. So I'm going to add that to my pan. We have 2/3 cup, or this for me is 150 grams of softened cream cheese, 2 large eggs, which I am blessed because I'm using my farm fresh. I actually love these. There's 1 and 2. You want these at room temperature. And then we're going to take and mix these 2 until they're creamed together. So once I get this creamed together, I will come back and let you know what our next step is. I am going to go ahead and let you know right now that I am not going to do this recipe fully exactly like she had showed it, because in the end of it, she was taking the batter and putting it into 6 muffin tins. But how she was distributing her blueberries was using like a tweezers and placing her blueberries within her mix and then dollops of cream cheese. Sorry, folks, I don't have that kind of time, so I will be blending my blueberries in with this. So our next ingredients will be 2 tablespoons or 30 grams of melted unsalted butter. You ever just want to get all that out, but it doesn't come out very well? And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, or 5 milliliters. We're now going to blend this together, and we will be right back. Okay, now that this is mixed, we're going to add 1 1/4 cup or 125 grams of almond flour. And I'm going to raise this up so I can get this in there better. I did sift my almond flour because I found that they can clump. So I have found somebody who sifts it a lot, and honestly, they were on something. The next ingredient will be 1 1/2 teaspoons or 6 grams of baking powder. Sorry about that. 1/3 cup or 65 grams of artificial sweetener. I am using monk fruit. and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I am using Himalayan sea salt. And if you go by grams on that, that would be 4 grams of salt. So now I'm going to mix this together, and I will be right back. Okay, so now that we have our batter mixed together, I am actually going to take my blueberries, and it calls for a 1/4 cup of blueberries or 40 grams of blueberries. And again, she added these blueberries in the mix. She'd put her mix, take about 3 or 4 blueberries, put them in there with tweezers, put another layer on top, and then blueberries on top. Sorry folks, I'm not doing that. I am actually going to fold our blueberries into our batter, and I'm going to use slightly more than a 1/4 cup. Do you remember those blueberries that we canned? Well, that's what we're going to use. So I had taken my blueberries out. I'd measured what I'm adding, and blueberries is one of those fruits that diabetics can have. So I'm just going to add these, and I'm going to mix them in my batter. Also, she turned around, and this is totally up to you. You can take small chunks of cream cheese at the top and add dollops on top of your muffins if you would like. I'm not going that far. If I wanted to, after they're baked or while we eat them for breakfast or whatever, I can take a small dollop of cream cheese and spread them on the top of my muffins when I heat them up. So we're just going to gently fold these blueberries in here, and then I am going to add them to our muffin pans. You don't want to mix them too hard, and if you have fresh, they're not as delicate, so you can use fresh, the canned, frozen, however you want them. So now I'm just going to take this, and I'm going to put equal parts of mix into my muffin tins, which have been lightly sprayed already. I am using a preheated oven. They used a 340. I don't know, unless you have a conventional oven. I'm using 350 because I personally don't have 340 degrees on my oven. So, and they state anywheres for 30 to 40 minutes. So once I get these lined up, I'm going to go until they are golden brown and done on the inside. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this up. Then I'm going to put them in my oven, bake these up, and we will come back at the final point of this. Since we've already got the blueberry muffins in the oven and baking, this oven is preset for the same temps that I'm going to use for the spaghetti squash for dinner tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and prepare this as well and show you how I do this. Now this is totally up to you. I know that some like to actually do it the long ways across this way and cut it in half. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to put mine in circles. So I'm going to cut off my ends. And I'm going to do mine by sections at a time. And I'll have 3. Now I'm going to clean out the inserts, and I'll show you what I'll do next. I just thought of something. So while I'm scraping these out, I'm going to give you some interesting factors. If you have the opportunity, then you did not purchase yours from a store, and that you were blessed with some either by a neighbor or a farmer, or you found some that were homegrown. First, I would like to say, saving your seeds. These seeds, which I will be taking care of, I am going to be cleaning them off, and then I am going to lay mine on dry paper towels. Saving these seeds give us an opportunity of free seeds to plant in our garden for the appropriate season. So save your seeds. Okay, I'm going to finish this and I will be right back. Okay, so while I was sitting here, I was concentrating too much on cleaning these out. There is another interesting factor. Most do not know about spaghetti squash. Spaghetti squash is technically known as a winter squash. But did you know that if you properly cure them when you take them out of your garden, if you dry and make sure that they're yellow before you pick them off the vine, you set them aside for about a week or two until this skin on this is to the point where you could take a nail and it will not leave an indentation. By doing so in a cool, dark place, you can literally keep spaghetti squash for the winter in your pantry or in a cool space for at least 6 months. So these are a great source to be able to store in your home while you go through the winter. And we have some that we were fortunate to be able to do that with. So I'm blessed, and that's why we are using this for our pantry challenge. These were not store-bought. These were literally from homegrown. So now I'm going to right now go and drizzle olive oil on each of these pieces. Just like so. Inside and out. And I'm going to sprinkle them with salt and pepper. Just like that. This is just for flavor balance. Now this one in here, I like to sprinkle it around the inside. And then after that, I am going to take and put some pepper, some fresh ground pepper on top. And I am using a silicone mat underneath mine. You can use parchment or whatever you choose, because you're actually going to take these now and turn them upside down. And we're going to bake them for about the same time as these muffins, for about 30-45 minutes, or until a fork can go through the flesh very easily. You do not want to turn this to mush. You want it in al dente. So after 25 minutes, I would start checking these and keeping an eye on them. So I'm going to put these in the oven with the blueberry muffins and get 2 things at one time. And there we have our blueberry muffins. Now with 350-degree oven, this takes anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes. These just came out of the oven, so I'm going to give this time to cool before I test them out. These actually, also this batter, for me, is going to make approximately 7 to 8. I still have some batter left over. So once I get these cooled and try one, I'm going to replace these and bake this as well. I'm going to try and bring this up closer so you can see it a lot better. They came out beautiful, y'all. Beautiful golden brown. They don't look like a diabetic muffin, that's for sure. So I am anxious to try this in some ways, but we'll see how this goes. And as soon as this cools off, I'll come back and I will let you know. Okay, so this cooled off enough, and truthfully, for the ingredients that we used on this, I was quite impressed. Again, there was no binding like xanthan gum and that in here, and I know it was made with almond flour. But honestly, yeah, these could get us in trouble. Now remember, these are about 5 grams a piece, y'all, so do what's best for you. But I want to show you how these turned out. They are beautifully moist, and then using the blueberries that I canned, this was absolutely perfect. They stayed intact. They're just an all-around fantastic blueberry muffin. So I would go ahead and say give this recipe a try. I will put the recipe in the description box below, and also by whom I found it, which was on, I believe it was on YouTube. So yes, I would definitely give this a thumbs up. Like I said, especially when you're working with almond flour. So this was a fantastic recipe. I hope you guys enjoyed this. In the meantime, we're waiting for the spaghetti squash to be done, And at this time, I will actually come back to that when it's time to make supper, and I will show you that process as well and how the spaghetti squash turned out. So until the next time, until the pantry challenge meal, God bless and much love from Parton's Heritage Homestead.